Hey guys, welcome to LoveCast, the Boys Love Podcast, Patreon exclusive reviews, where today we're going to be reviewing the Japanese drama, My Beautiful Man. I'm your host, Alexa, and with me are my co-hosts, Pixie and Kayla.
Hey.
So My Beautiful Man is a 6-episode drama that centers around the relationship between Hira and Kiyoi over the span of a few years of their lives between high school and university. So Hira is a loner who deals with anxiety and struggles to speak, and he stutters when he's nervous, and this often leads to him being mocked by his peers. While Kiyoi is your typical popular character, he's very quiet, aloof, cool, and he attracts the attention of everyone around him. And so when Kira's arrival on their first day of class saves Hira from being made fun of by his peers, Hira begins to develop this kind of strong infatuation / obsession with Kiyoi, and then the drama goes on from there and kind of expands into their relationship and what develops between them over years. And it can be watched on Gaga Ulala, Viki, and WeTV. So I didn't know if we wanted to start more general or just like jump right into the thick of it.
Oh, I kind of just want to jump into it.
Yeah, I was feeling that way too. I feel like with this series, you kind of have to like just jump into things.
Yeah, there's a lot to say.
Yeah. I will say, I binge watched this all last night, and I watched the last 2 episodes this morning, and it was not what I expected. And I think when it first started airing and that first episode came out, there was a lot of mixed reactions about the relationship and the characters. And I think I kind of had that in my head. So at that point, I decided, I'll wait to watch this. And then, we decided we were going to do this for the review. And you guys kind of, let me know how I had to go into the show. And I think that helped a lot. But even besides that, I feel like in general, it just wasn't as toxic or as bad as I quite expected it to be. So I think it was a situation where kind of people talking about it had built it up in my brain to be something different than it turned out to be. But like overall, I liked it so much more than I thought I would. Even after like we decided to do this for the review, I was worried that I was not gonna vibe it that much, but I liked it so much more than I expected to.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised if they haven't watched it. You should honestly just go and watch it. Even if you don't really like, if you've heard that it's toxic and have heard like people explaining it to you, it's not going to be like that, because you can't explain this show. Like if you're going to explain it with just words, it's not enough, because there's so much depth to this show that there's no way you will understand it by me telling you what it's about.
Yeah,
I think the reason why I was gonna say, I think the reason why I liked it is because it's so unconventional, and it does force you to think deeper than you would normally watching just like a lighthearted series.
Yeah, I think even from the very first episode, I was seeing a lot more depth in the characters, especially Kiyoi, because I feel like he was the one a lot of people kind of had a problem with him being toxic and a bully and, all the kind of stuff that you heard about him. But even from the very first episode and his early on interactions with Hira, I feel like I could see the depth to his character just like underneath the surface. And as it went on, it became more and more apparent. And then, of course, you got the episode from his point of view in episode 5, and it kind of really explained things. But they definitely showed hints of that depth throughout the series, so that you knew he wasn't just kind of the shallow, toxic bully that I guess he came off to be to some people.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, you kind of expect Hira to be like, he is someone that people are just walking over. Like, he has no ambitions. He has no life. He says it himself that he doesn't find anything beautiful or like anything. Even like in the beginning, when he's like
his little intro
in the drawings, he's looking at the bunny and he's just can't say that he likes it. because he doesn't have those emotions. He hasn't found anything that he likes. Even with his camera, he's half-hearted because he can't take pictures of anything that he likes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, before he sees Kiyoi, that's like the first moment that he actually experiences the emotion of liking something, thinking something is beautiful, wanting to take a picture of something. And it just changes his entire world. And for a man who really like lets everyone step on him and has no like willpower of his own, and suddenly there's like this godlike person in front of him, like he has experienced that's the first time he has that emotion. Like the obsession makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it definitely, like you said, to go from never having felt like you truly liked anything before in your life to this thing just kind of coming in and using up all of like the space in your brain to kind of become attached to that and want to grasp onto that in any way you can. And that's basically what Hira did with Kiyoi. I think it does really make sense for the way that they set up his character.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that
and
they...
the characters...
Good.
Oh, and the characters are like, I feel like they're very complicated. So, and their emotions are complicated. So it's like through their actions, especially Kiyoi, I'm getting the names mixed up in my head.
Kiyoi, yeah.
Kiyoi,
Hira,
especially Kiyoi. Yeah, it's like you get to almost see like the worst of people and how the effects that he has from like his familial trauma is affecting the decisions that he's making in like his current romantic situations, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think that they did a really good job with the way they kind of introduced his backstory in episode 5 and kind of going back in and explaining everything. And it kind of really set a tone for how you look back at the series and all of his actions since then. And I also liked how they kind of had those moments where in his episode and in episode 6, they were kind of saying like the same things about each other, but from different perspectives. Like they said like two dots who are never overlapping. And there was another one earlier on, I think, that they both said about each other. But I thought those kind of lines that they included where they were both saying the same thing and you could tell thinking the same thing about each other, but very clearly misinterpreting the way the other person was seeing them. I thought that was really, really well done.
Yeah, because Hira can't imagine like some godlike creature like Kiyoi ever actually having feelings for him.
And then Kyoi's like, I'm not a god, like I'm just a person. And like having those kind of moments where they were like, huh? I thought that was really, really well done.
Yeah. And I find it so, like I've said this before, but I find it so interesting that every time Kiyoi says like, you're gross or something like that, it feels like he's reflecting on his own feelings and not actually saying to Hira that he's gross. It's more like what he's feeling. So because he wants, like, he has no interest in any of the girls. And you can see that, like, he has zero interest in anyone. Yeah. Except Hira. Hira is the only one that he actually, like, gravitates towards. I find it really interesting because you have an obsession and then you have Kiyoi, who's obviously trying to kind of not being obsessed. He's kind of holding back.
Yeah, he's like purposely aloof from everything to keep himself from getting hurt type
but he can't
situation.
Stop himself. He keeps coming back to it. He keeps coming back to Hira and his feelings for Hira. And it's very, like, when you get to see the episode and see how he thinks and feels, it's just, it hits so hard because you're like, this makes so much sense for how he acts. And they're both so messed up.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
They're so mentally messed up, both of them. This is like, oh my god, they need each other. Like, seriously.
No,
Oh
like
my God.
I love that their characters are flawed and you get to see their flaws. And I think maybe some people who went into it just like didn't expect that they would be watching something where the protagonists aren't exactly like likable or reliable at first glance. And so like maybe some people, I don't know, they like see, they don't want to see themselves reflected back onto them because then they would have to confront their own flaws.
Yeah.
So I think that is
Yeah.
the source of a lot of the distaste for the series.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and I do think a lot of people actually don't understand what's going on either. Like, they're watching episode 1 and 2, and they're just seeing Kiyoi being mean and saying mean things, and Hira is just being, I don't know, his how he acts actually rubs me more than how Kiyoi acts, because I hate that he's just a doormat. Like, that behavior just makes me so angry, because I'm just like, stand up for yourself, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very hard to watch him like let himself get walked all over, but you know, he said it so many times, and I think that does speak to how his brain processes things, that for him being a doormat is easier than trying to be anything else. And that's probably because his feelings are so, I don't know if stunted's the right word, but like, you know, like people calling him stuts and forcing him to do things and all that kind of stuff doesn't even really impact him at all, because he's never gone through life he's never had any attachment to his peers or, you know, wanted to be
for anything.
So, you know, it's not like he's ever felt excluded, because he's never had the desire to be included in the first place. Yeah. So, you know, it's for him, it's just easier to let people view them however he wants to view them, and you know, that makes him invisible, and that's what he wants. So but yeah, I definitely really loved how, you know, the flawed narrator perspective from both of them, I think that made it so much more interesting. Especially you know, once we saw everything from Hira's point of view for the first 4 episodes, and I think that is part of why people maybe saw Kiyoi as a bad guy, because you know, they were, even though, you know, I honestly, you know, when he would call him a creep or push him to go do things, I mean, they're not nice things to say, but also, like you said before, I didn't really see any malice towards Hira in those statements. Like you said, it could have been reflecting back on himself or just him trying to seem disinterested, but I never took any malice in the comments that he would make towards them. So I don't know, that was something that stuck out to me. It was, he never seemed as mean as I thought, you know, things like being like calling someone creepy would seem mean, but it never seemed that mean coming from him.
No, like how he delivered the line just doesn't feel like he's saying this to Hira.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like he's being mean to Hira in any way. I that has, like, to say the acting is so good. Like, he's on point with this. That's amazing to, like, just get that feeling forth, like that. Like, he's not saying it to Hira, and I never, like, once thought that it sounded toxic or that anything was toxic. I had a moment with myself in the first episode. I was just like, is this toxic, or is my brain just working the wrong way here?
Yeah.
But it's like the subtleties, right? So I did see people talking about how toxic it was, and I was just like, no, but how do I explain to them how it's not toxic?
I feel like that's like the whole point of the show almost.
Yeah.
That, like, on surface level it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nuance.
Like, on surface level, it's supposed to look toxic, you know, like a bully and, you know, his gopher type of relationship. But as viewers, we can see even what Hira can't see in the way that Kiyoi is talking to him and stuff like that. So we can always see the more depth there that either them can see in each other, and that like the people around them can't see, because they see it from a very surface level perspective, but we as viewers kind of get a different level of depth to it that kind of lets us know that it's not just a surface level toxic type relationship that it might appear to be.
Yeah. And I really like the contrast of Kiyoi's friends, who are like, when Kiyoi is talking to Hira or making him do stuff, he's not like laughing at him, he's not mocking him, he's not doing anything. But the friends are always laughing, they're always mocking, they always see this as like this big funny thing and mocking him for stuttering and just see him like a servant.
Yeah.
But Kiyoi doesn't. So it's like the nuance there, that the friends are like the villains here, right? If you pay attention, like you can see it on Kiyoi's face that like he doesn't take any pleasure at ordering Hira around.
Yeah.
But it's more like an attempt to have like some sort of closeness to him that he doesn't understand himself, because he doesn't know how to reach out to Hira, because Hira has made himself like this closed off, because he doesn't interact with anyone. He doesn't like let anyone come in. So the only way for Kiyoi to actually be close to Hira is to order him around.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly think to some extent, like, and I don't even think maybe that Kiyoi realized this, but him, taking his position as the popular person for the period of time that he was, and, kind of making himself the leader and ordering Kiyoi around is almost a way to protect Kiyoi or Hira from his other peers. And, because if he's their gopher, then they're not going to bully him in the way that they would if he was just the loner in the class. And, you do see how the friends, show their true colors once Kiyoi doesn't place in the contest, and, he becomes just a commoner again. And then they kind of want to push him to be an outsider. And that's like when they kind of really show their true colors. But yeah, they were definitely more of villains than Kiyoi ever was towards Hira.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I felt sorry for Hira's friend who also
Koyama.
likes him.
I felt so bad for him. He was so precious.
He was so sweet and kind.
I was like, sweetie, you don't even stand a chance. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, he was such a little sweetie.
Yeah. But like that relationship could never have worked. Like Hira needs someone who can sort of push him. And like he was too sweet. But I do wish, like, one thing I have to say, like, about the show, I do wish that it would have been longer and they could have explored the stories and the characters more, because it feels really rushed.
Yeah, I would have loved to see more. I would have loved to see more from Kiyoi's point of view. I mean, I'm very glad that we got the one episode that we did, but I would have loved to see more from his point of view. And I did enjoy the last episode, but I would have loved it to extend just a little bit more after
see them more
the school
together.
scene. Yeah. Yeah, but otherwise, I think
I still remember when the last scene in the end credits, when they're lying in the bed. That just, oh my god. I was not expecting that, because I was thinking, okay, they're gonna like have this chaste kiss and it's gonna be over. It's gonna be like really, but they're in bed.
That's just the nature of their relationship. It's like everything is so intense, so it just like continues on that line.
Oh, that was crazy. I was not expecting that at all. And it's just like put in the end credits like it's nothing. And I'm just like, whoa. Okay.
Also, the finger sucking scene.
Oh my!
I saw people saying that in the manga or the novel or whatever, it was toe sucking, and I just have to say, thank God they didn't do that, because I would not have been able to watch that. I mean, the finger sucking alone, I mean, it was so intense that it made me uncomfortable, and that was the point.
Yeah, same.
But like,
Same.
I just imagine like if it had been like, I hate feet so much.
Yeah,
Kayla would not have made it.
I hate feet.
I would rate it a 0.
I would have. I would seriously had turned it off and not watched anymore.
Oh my god! I can just thinking about it makes me like, thank God it was just like a finger. But yeah, that scene was like,
that scene was really hard to watch.
I had like goosebumps. I was like, I shouldn't be watching this.
Yeah. But it was a very effective way to show how deeply Hira is obsessed.
Yeah, it's like he didn't even think, and he just kind of like instinct. Like the one time
master,
he didn't stop him.
Lick your finger. That's
not master.
But I remember I watched this right after the Bad Buddy finger licking, and I'm just like, are we licking fingers everywhere
the new trend
now? Is that the new trend? Is that like we're not gonna get kisses anymore? It's just gonna be finger
sucking. Oh
my god.
That scene was. But honestly, that whole confrontation at the school was just like emotional intensity on 1000%.
Back to ground zero, just like back to the beginning where it all started, and it just
yeah. It's good,
I felt
good
so
stuff.
sorry for Kiyoi. I felt seriously sorry for him because like I understand like yeah, he's messed up and he should probably not act like he acts, but I get it, and I get why. Like he has to be so frustrated because how do you get someone who you like, who's obsessed with you, to the point that they don't see you as someone to be with? How do you change? Like, how do you get past that?
Yeah,
obviously they did, but.
Yeah, I really liked how they kind of pointed out that the way that Hira acts towards Kiyoi is selfish, and that he never wants, like, he doesn't consider Kiyoi. He's never asked, how do you feel about the things that I do? How do you feel about me? Type of thing. Like, he was selfish in his assumption that Kiyoi would never look at him in a different way than just like his gopher, and he never considered his feelings in that way. And I really like that they addressed that behavior is selfish behavior.
It's very like when Kiyoi kissed him and he just decided that was a goodbye kiss.
Yeah,
and I'm never going to talk to him again.
He always assumed Kiyoi's thoughts instead of like
actually talking to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like just goes into his own self-deprecation, that he was like, there's no point in even asking because I know that was his way of saying goodbye to me. And it just they just circle around each other in their own little brain cycles of not understanding or seeing each other in those same ways. Like it's
crazy. No, I really like this show, guys. I love this show, and I mean we need more of this stuff, like more of the psychological battles and like just flawed people. Like BL is not just supposed to be black and white. There's supposed to be some drama or like people are more than just being in love. Like they have more of a personality than just like your whole personality isn't supposed to be that you're in love with the guy.
Yeah. That's like, we always want complex characters in BL, and if we want that, we have to understand that not every aspect of a personality is going to be good or likable, and that's what makes character complex and makes a relationship complex.
Yeah, and even though you have like a relationship like this where Kiyoi was like being like calling him a stalker and gross and whatnot, it's not, that doesn't mean that they're romanticizing toxic behavior.
No.
Which is a nuance I think a lot of people need to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they made it pretty clear from early on that, you know, the ways that, especially the way that Hira was viewing Kiyoi from the beginning was not romantic. Like, even he didn't really see it as love for a long time. Like, he himself saw it as obsession.
It's worship.
Yeah, worship. Yeah. And so I don't think they ever tried to romanticize the way that they felt each other, felt about each other, not felt each other. And they had to actually have that difficult conversation where they confronted their feelings in the way that they danced around each other before anything romantic could actually happen between them.
Yeah. Character growth.
No, I love that nothing was framed through like rose-colored glasses. Like you said, like everything is just like you're made to know that it's not entirely about like love in the beginning, or maybe even at the end, it's not even fully that. But yeah, I really love this series.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. All right, so also one note before we give our ratings, I have to say, and this is always with Japanese dramas, the production was absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if it's like the filter that's very common for them to put over their shows or something, but I just
Japanese
love
aesthetic.
The aesthetic is so gorgeous. And, you know, I love that you could tell in a lot of scenes that like the camera shot was just like one person holding the camera, and you got like the shakiness from it and stuff like that. I thought it was really, I mean, I don't know if that was something they did on purpose or if it's just a budgetary thing, but I noticed that a lot, how like you could very well tell that it was just like someone holding the camera and moving around in the scenes themselves. And I thought that was a really interesting touch to it. But yeah, I just thought it was a gorgeous show aesthetically. But yes, ratings. What would you guys rate it out of 5? I feel like
5.
I feel like I know what Pixie's gonna say.
Yeah, this is on my top 3 list. So yeah obviously.
Yeah, I think I would say like 4.5 for me. It was like really, really good. And I liked it more than I thought I would, which was I really was happy about that.
I think I would give it a 4 out of 5 just because I wish it was longer. And the ending felt a little anticlimactic because it was so short. But like other than that, everything else was like so on point. And I just wish that we got to see more of their fucked up relationship because I was living for the drama.
Same.
Yes,
same.
I wanted more.
Definitely.
All right. Well, then that's it for our review of My Beautiful Man. To our patrons, if you watch the show, let us know either in the Patreon comments or in the Discord server what you thought about the show, what you liked, what you didn't like, and you can give us your rating out of 5, how you would rate it. And we'll be back next month with some more voting options for you guys to choose our next Patreon exclusive review. And until then, we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.